Hi everyone, I'm Barbara from Fairies in My Pond, and today is Blogging 3, my new doll. And I'm so excited about this one. I got a little tip for you guys. And maybe some of you have figured this out, but it just came to me, and this is really the first time I've tried it, and so far it's really working for me. So I wanted to set up my camera really quick so that I can show you what I came up with, and then I'm going to shut the camera down, and then I'm going to get ready to do the video of me blogging of putting her ears on. Okay, what I did was I wanted a stand, and it's flexible. Okay, now this is how I did it. Now I'm going to move the camera so you can see it. This is a rubber suction cup, and it has a hole in the center. So what I did was I wet it down, stuck it down, and I actually think it would stick really, really good to glass, but so far it's been sticking good to the table. And then I took a wooden skewer, and it was a little bit too loose, so I took a piece of paper towel, wrapped it around, and I made it so that it fits in the hole. Now I'm going to bring it up. Now you can make it as high as you want, but I had to cut the skewer down because of me getting ready to record this. Okay, then what I did was I used an alligator clamp to clamp my other stick onto it. And I'll tell you what, these alligator clamps they come in handy so much, and you can buy them separate, and they're very, very cheap. So if you ever are in a hardware store or something like that, don't hesitate on picking them up. You'll always use them. Okay, now I'm going to show you. Now, if I were working on this without a camera, okay, and I have always wanted to do this, is that, see, I can take this and now I can bend it, but it's nice and sturdy. Now I'm sure that, you know, I could probably pop it up, but what a great idea. So maybe some of you will want to give this a try and see how that works. And this way, you know, see how I can turn it and I'm not touching my clay, and it gives me that flexibility. Okay, I wanted to share that all with you, and I'm going to go ahead and shut this down, and I'm going to get ready to blog. Okay, the first step I want to get into is the placement of the ears. And again, I really do feel that you can put the ears any way that you want. But I'm going to point out a couple of things that I find for myself that I would prefer doing. Whoops. And I think that they look good. Okay. On this one in particular, I'm going to show you this side. Okay, you see how I've got that jaw right there? Now I'm trying to make it pronounced so that you can see it, because I'll smooth it down later. Now I'm going to show you the other side. You see how you don't see that? Okay, I'm going to explain to you what I think happens when you don't pay attention to this part of putting the ears on. When I do it, it's like a halfway mark, and the halfway mark I usually go about from here to wherever the half would be. So I'm just going to put a halfway mark, but I'm going to start right there at the jawbone right there. But the line doesn't go straight. The line, I find that it comes up, but then it starts slanting just a little bit. To find the top of the ear, they say at the brow line. I feel like it depends on the type of doll that you're doing. This one in particular, I think I'm going to go a little bit below it. The bottom of the ear will be at the bottom of the nose, close to it. Okay, now, do you see how it gave me that distance from the ear to the jaw? That's what you want. You don't want a piece between the earlobe and the jaw. You don't want it real long, unless you know that's the type of doll that you're making. Now then, when you don't have this part in, like here, I don't have it in. If I were to put the ears in, what it would look like I just stuck the ears on the head. And when you measure it, you'll say, well, it's right at the measurements. It's right at the brow and it's at the end of the nose. But why does it look funny? Well, the reason why it looks funny is because you didn't put in that little jaw. So what that does is it makes the doll head look short. When you have the ears on, it's like it looks just like you've stuck them on the doll's head. Okay, now I get my marks in, and then it's going to be up to you on what type of ear that you want to make. So now the next thing I'm going to get into is how I go about making the ears. What I do is I like using wire. Now I also use my 2-part epoxy too, and just make a core. But I know many of you aren't quite ready to invest in this, or you just don't even want to. And you have written me and said, how do I keep them from not breaking? Well, if you do use that 2-part epoxy, your chances of them breaking are very slim. But you'd have to make that epoxy very thin. But you can use wire, and what I like to do is use aluminum wire. And the reason why I would use aluminum wire is because I have experienced so many times back in the day when I used wire, and when it was right up against the bare polymer clay, after a period of time it starts rusting. It eats away the clay. So for the ears it would be aluminum wire. Now for a very small doll, you'd want to use a smaller gauge wire than what I have here. Now what I do is I make a plug, and I'm going to show you. Now here's one that I will be making like a pixie ear, and I measure the wire and I cut it twice so that they're the same size. And then I just twist it, and the aluminum wire makes it very easy. And I just twist it a little bit, and that's going to give me a plug to stick into the head. Now I would go ahead and I would put my polymer clay over that, and then I would sculpt my ear. The other thing that you can use, and I really do like using these, is eye pins. I have one here that I've already cut to show you what it would look like. And I have just bent it, shaped it into what an ear would look like to me. But I want to share this with you, and it's kind of a neat little idea, is that when I sculpt the ear, the clay on this eye pin, what I need to do is I need to make like a little staple. And I just take a little wire and I bend it, and then that is going to make it so, well, we're talking about tiny here. See, that's going to make it secure by sticking it into the head. It'll be like a plug, but different than my other one. Okay, now when I take the clay and I cover it, what I do is I'll leave just enough clay on the outside of the eye there of the pen, and then what I do is I'll put a little stone in, and the silver around it I leave clean, and it just gives it a real nice effect of an earring. So I wanted to share that with you. Okay, now let's get on with the sculpting of the ear. I already have my wire already twisted, and I have the little plug. Now you can plug this into the doll head at this point and then start putting the clay on it. I actually do it both ways, in the head or not, okay? But I'm going to just go ahead and do it this way. Now when I do this, I always make it the same size for the other ear, and then the same equal amount of clay for both ears. So I'm just going to take a piece here, and I'm going to only do the one here, and I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but I'm going to give you the basics. And you see how I just want to lay it over the wire. Now, like I said, I'm going to make pixie ears for this one. Now this one here, I probably should have bent it a little bit more. Let's see. See how the aluminum wire is so easy to work with? Now that's going to be the underside. And I'm not too worried about that wire showing yet. I just want to get this part because this is going to, I don't want it to be real thick. And having a wire in it is really going to give you more strength to your ear. Okay, now there's the basic shape that I would be using. Now here is a tool that I love to use, and it is nothing but a crochet needle, and you can do it either way you want. I look at it that when I create pixie ears, I make them any way that I want, but I try to remember what I do so I can make the other one the same. But you can turn your crochet needle this way, or you can turn it this way. It's, you know, it's going to be totally up to you. So I'm going to go this way. Now, you see how I have a real nice impression? Now I'll take my crochet needle and I will just start thinning that edge out and making it look like something. And just do it all the way around, just however you want. It's very warm here, and my clay is kind of soft for this, so I'm having a little bit of a hard time with it. But you're going to get the general idea. And always that tip, try to make that kind of thin, not too thick. Okay, now let's see if we can stick it on the head. Now your ear will get a little bit messed up. Whoops. Now see, now today, since it is so warm out, I probably should have stuck this in first and then put the clay on it. Okay, now since my clay is really soft, I'm going to add a little bit right in here. See, and I would just blend this all in. I'm going to take my crochet needle and I'm going to go back and I'm going to define that impression again. And then if you see that that wire is starting to show, see if you can't pull some of that clay from the outside into it. Or you can just go ahead and you can add some. Then I'm going to take some more clay and I'm going to take a piece here and sometimes I will even make a little ball and put it on the head and then put the ear on too, to give this little piece in the back. And then you see how I've got the wire showing just a little bit there? I just kind of use my finger here to brace it so that I can cover that wire and my ear isn't flopping all over the place. And I will add some more. I'm just going over where I put my lines in. and I'm giving it more definition. And there's a starting of an ear. Now that's a pixie ear that I'm going to have. And I would smooth this all out. And keeping that jawline. Okay, let me get my other tool here. See, now this part here, I would probably thin that out just a little bit. And you know, depending on pixie ears, you know, some of them you make real long, and then some of them you make a little bit shorter. You know, you have to kind of know what it is that you want. But that's all I do. And then I'll just keep working this, getting my clay to level out. And then getting that jaw. And see, now I would smooth this all out. Okay, now just really quickly, see if I can do it, just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about if you don't get this in. Okay, here I have an ear, and I'm going to just roughly make a halfway mark. Nose, brow. When I don't make that jaw, and let's say I'm going to stick an ear on. Okay, I don't know if you can see what it is that I mean. Is that, do you see how this part right in here looks like you're missing a part of the face? Where this part here, when you put that jaw right under the definition of the jaw right underneath that ear lobe, how that gives you the effect that you're not taking clay and just sticking it on the side of the head. You need that little space right here with the lobe and the end of the jaw there. Okay, now I'm going to go back and probably start this over. I'm going to fix this up because right now the clay is just way too soft for me today, and I want to redo that. But I wanted to share that with you. It's an easy way, I think it is, and by making that plug, it really helps that the ears do not fall off. So everyone, I'll see you on my next blog.